And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China.
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what? China. All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China.
Russian.
Russia.
Italian.
Italy.
German.
Germany.
Swedish.
Sweden.
Korean.
Korea.
Egyptian.
Egypt.
Nigerian.
Nigeria.
Black.
Exactly. Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
The lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. They want us to sell our souls to barter profit. Like God's property, it's hard to market. So we steady to aim, keep your eyes on target. 'Cause when you got to drive, yeah, they'd rather you park it. But I don't valet, you ain't getting these keys. I'm keeping closed hands, I'm on bended knee. I'm just a reflection, dealing with 8 sections. Art mixed with life, you can feel the convection. Your lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said
the same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black.
You know what you are? You're an ancient Israelite.
Ancient is there. That's who we are. That's who we are. So if you give me time, if you give me time, all that he said.
I know. We don't have
so many years.
I know. Look at this. This is pages and pages of
Yes.
notes. And I promise we'll give more teaching. But here is my challenge to you.
All right.
I'm hearing some of your traditions. It's like the days of the Bible.
Yes.
Do you want to remain ancient Israelites or you want to be Jews? Do you want to?
The same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black.
And so when he's saying he's coming to redeem, while he would say, redeem Israel, O God, out of all their troubles. First thing they need to be redeemed at, more dangerous than Hamas, more dangerous than Muslim neighbors, are internal these, and there's another biblical name, these who say they are Jews and are not.
I was going to ask you about that. In Revelation 3:8, I think, I was going to ask you that question. Does that refer to this time, or can it refer to this time?
It can. It's Revelation 3:9. Indeed, I will make those of the synagogue of Satan who say they are Jews and are not, but lie. Yeah. And there's a different application for it. But we understand this is really, there's a practical storyline I've shared before on a program, maybe a year ago, I don't know, about the Khazarian Mafia and the Khazarian Jews. And I'll just say the briefest understanding of it and how this applies to them, because it's about 1,000 years ago. Really, these are almost like marauding tribes, not like tribes of the tribe of Israel, but they're based out of the Ukraine, ironically or not, based out of Kiev. And these were those that would go around, take new lands, and they were known, they had brought the Babylonian religion with them. They were doing cannibalism, human trafficking, no boundaries, sex interaction. They were so wicked that the story goes that he who led, I believe he was a czar of Russia, when he had won a battle against him, gave him an option. And in some way or another, this is a truth that they were told, again, 1,000 years ago, you must choose a religion. You all are worthless people. You're not training your kids into any kind of civility, reasonableness. And he gave them a choice of the 3 Abrahamic religions.
as far as the alleged conversion of the Khazaris, you can read it in Yehuda Halevi's book, The Khazari, that it may be true that as there is debate and discussion there are Turkic people a little over 1,000 years ago, that some of the leaders or some of the people did, in fact, convert to Judaism and then became part of the larger Jewish people. Khazars as a whole disappeared from history. That's it. End of subject. There is no Khazarian mafia. There's not a single Jew on the planet that can be traced back in any definitive way to the Khazars. Zero. You say, well, where did the name Ashkenazi came from? So a little over 1,000 years ago, as Jewish people scattered around the world had now emigrated in Europe and now were living in the Rhineland in Germany, they looked at the name Gomer in Genesis 10, and they connected Gomer with Germany, so they took on the identity of the name Ashkenaz. It has nothing to do with Ashkenaz in the Bible, which is a descendant of Japhet. It's just a name that was taken. Okay, it's that simple. Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin or anything else. It was shortened from a Russian name when my grandfather came over at Ellis Island. The name got shortened to Brown. It's just a name. That's all it is. So the idea that Ashkenazi Jews are descended from Japhet is a myth, 100% false, zero.
This story begins in October 1949, 1 year after Israel's formation. This is when Netanyahu was born, the second child of a historian. His paternal grandfather was a rabbi and a Zionist writer. His name was Nathan Milikowski. Later in life, he Hebraized his surname from Milikowski to Netanyahu, a name which means God has given.
This is Yair Netanyahu's DNA test that has been leaked. You can see right there his Y DNA is RM198. Descendants of RM198 come from Poland, Russia, Germany, and other European countries. Does this look Semitic to you? Does this look Middle Eastern?
The same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black.
It makes it seem as if they know more than everybody else. Similar to those Reshaim, those Israelites, these idiots, Goyim, that they're not idiots because they're Goyim, because there are many smart Goyim, but they happen to be one of the idiots among the nations instead of the righteous among the nations. Now, these idiots have been making a bigger stink lately. I had a few people send me messages about them and say, oh, this is concerning anti-Semitism. Kanye West is talking about the Israelites. Now, I know these morons from years ago. I remember when I lived in New York, you always had one of these Amaleks in the middle of the street wearing something that he bought from a costume store, and he's yelling and screaming the New Testament, but he's, pretending as if he's reading the 10 Commandments from Mount Sinai. And he's reading it in English because none of them know Hebrew. And, yelling at everybody that they're the righteous, they're the original Jews, they're the ones, and the Jews of today are fakers and so on and so forth. Now, of course, at that time that I saw them initially, I didn't know anything about Judaism. So there's not much to argue here. I just knew they're idiots because just the way they behave. Today, Baruch Hashem,
there's been a lot of controversy surrounding the usage of the N-word in this movie, and
no, nobody, none. The word would be.
Oh, I don't want to say it.
Why not?
I don't like to say it.
Have you ever said it?
No, sir.
Try it.
I don't like to say it.
Try it.
Really? Seriously?
We're not gonna have this conversation unless you say it. You want to move on to another question?
Okay. Awesome. I don't want to say it.
Come on.
Will you say it?
No. That's not the same thing.
Why do you want me to say it?
They're going to bleep it when you say it on your show. So say it.
I can't say it. If I say it, this question it won't make air.
Okay, forget it.
Okay, I'll skip it. Sorry, guys. It was a good question.
No, it wasn't.
It was a great question.
It wasn't a great question if you can't say the word.
Now, of course, if you want to deal with the whole race card, this is what makes them stupid. The first two makes them ignorant. The third one is what makes them stupid. Why? They claim to be the original Jews because the original Jews, according to morons, were black. Now, All you need to do is read the Torah to know there could never be a possibility that the original Jews were black. Why? Where did the Jews start from? They're going to tell you all types of mumbo jumbles depending on who the yeller is. But the truth is, where did Am Yisrael start from? Avraham Avinu. So where do we learn about Avraham for the first time? Where? They're going to tell you, oh, we learn about him in Parashat Lech Lecha. No, it's not Lech Lecha, it's Lech Lecha, and it's not that. We learned the first time about Avraham at the end of Parashat Noach. Noach, ish tzadik tamim bedorotav. Noach. That's the parasha. At the end of Parashat Noach, we learn about the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel, actually one of the people that was part of the Tower of Babel, one of the wicked people, was Avraham's father, Terach. Okay? Now, this is where everything was. Babel had a place in it called Ur Kasdim. That's where Avraham was thrown into the fire by Nimrod. Where is Babel? That's Babylon. That's Iraq. Iraq, if you want to see it in English. It's, go find me one African American black guy in Iraq. Find one.
Genesis chapter 11 verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you.
Want to say peace and blessings to everyone. My apologies for the delay. Had some delays trying to upload some videos here that I want to share with you guys tonight. And, just to kind of point out the contradictions, the double standards. And actually, I'm just going to call it flat out racism. I purposely played a couple of videos earlier of a couple of evangelical pastors who were teaching Revelation chapter 2 and 9 and also Revelation chapter 3 and 9. But according to the ADL, which lost all kinds of, well, we already know they were incredible, but they also were, according to Wikipedia, they list them as being non-reliable, right? Questioning their motives, questioning their information. But nevertheless, they use, and a matter of fact, I'll pull it up in my slide here, how they use or they say the Black Hebrew Israelites per se, use Revelation chapter 2 and 9, and as also 3 and 9 as a form of hatred, a form of anti-Semitism, and so many have, created revenue for themselves. So many have created platforms for themselves. So many have, created so many different things off of that rhetoric. The ADL made so much off of that. The Southern Poverty and all those different groups have made so much off of that. But what about what I just shared about the, what you call it, the couple of pastors that I just played here earlier in the intro that teach, and we're teaching, I have others, I didn't have time to put them all in here, that Revelation chapter 2, verse 9, and Revelation chapter 3, verse 9, refer to imposters. But you don't see any videos being made on, done on them. You don't see anyone talking about those guys. But this has been labeled as being a Black Hebrew Israelite doctrine. Have you guys noticed that? Have you guys noticed that, especially some of the videos I've been uploading? I purposely uploaded those videos that you saw, for example, of Chuck Missler and the other pastor, the Baptist pastor. And you notice, you haven't heard anything. See, family, I'm not just uploading those videos just for the sake of uploading. I've been teaching this truth well before these guys that I even knew these guys. I've been teaching Revelation. Actually, I got a series that I did titled Act of Hostility, and I literally walk you through, starting at Genesis chapter 4, and I literally walk you all the way through, actually starting at Genesis chapter 3 and walk you all the way through up to how Israel became a divided kingdom, all the way to Christ, all the way to Revelation. But nevertheless, have you guys noticed that we are the only group of people that have to deal with the contradictions? We're the only ones that deal with this type of contradictions. Again, we're going to call it out. We got to call it what it is. Let's see if these platforms start talking about these evangelical pastors, and the pastors that I've uploaded is teaching the same thing. Now, I want to make this clear. The pastor that I uploaded earlier this week, what is his name? The Baptist pastor. Let me see if I can pull it up here, just so that way I won't butcher his name. But his name is, I didn't put his name here. But anyway, the pastor that I uploaded video earlier this week, the Baptist pastor, I want to make this clear. I know some of you guys posted in there that he gave a, powerful message, all truth. No, he didn't. Right? But I posted because he said a lot of things that was true, but there was a couple of things that he said that was completely off. Number one, he said that the Israelites, the true Israelites, doesn't exist. They are we killed, right? That's what he said. So family, I caught that. I was, I meant to put a clip in there, the one that I share over and over again with the Rabbi Shapira, with the Igbo's elders, when he's asking them whether or not if they want to remain ancient Israelites, identifying, acknowledging that they are ancient Israelites, are the people connected to the ancient people, but do they want to convert over to a religion and refer to themselves as Jews? Right? So he was incorrect with that. So family, listen with intelligence. He gave some great information, but he wasn't accurate all the way through. He actually was teaching replacement theology, like many of these guys. When they teach about who's not, they'll tell you that these, the name stealers, they are imposters. But then when it comes to identifying who's who, they stop right there. They stop at the ledge, right? They stop right there. They get all the way to the edge, get all the way to the edge, and they just stop right there. Have you guys?
Plus, in Nigeria, there is a remnant of Edomites. I know a lot of people say Esau is the white man, but they do not know African history. Also, I believe a remnant in North Sudan and Saudi Arabia. I do believe that Edo and Idoma are Bantu Hebrews, but not Israelite, but Edomite. The people of Edom currently settled in the Savannah region of Nigeria. They are not a missing race because I come from the tribe of Edom. The spelling has changed over the years from Idumia to Edoma, but the pronunciation is still the same. The name Aduma is still widely used in the present Edoma. Esau, whom the Edomites came from, had 2 wives. He married from the land of Canaan. The first wife was called Ada. Ada is a name that is still commonly used by Edomites. Ada is the first daughter of any family in Edoma. The name Edom is pronounced as Edom, which means my kind of person. Elah is one of the princes of Edom. He was the son of Ada, but today the spelling of Elah has changed, but some of the people still spell it the old way. My surname is Elah, but the spelling has been changed to Elah. Our tradition is the same with the Old Testament tradition of Israel. We have only one God who is in heaven. We traded in salt and worked with copper, as copper was used as currency at that time. We were told by our fathers that we left our land because of war. We are spread over 3 states in Nigeria. We tease those that went further south that they left us because they went to look for salt. Our women were very hairy, with thick black hair before they started perming their hair with chemicals. The stripped Jewish cloth was our cloth until my father changed the color to red and black. When I asked my father why, he told me it was because of the red soil. The soil of the area we settled in Nigeria is also very red. Some of our names sound very much like Israeli names. For example, Anita and Onyahu sound very much like Netanyahu. Our customs include the peace offering and sin offering and most of the practices by Israel in the Old Testament.
What do you say about that? For those that want to that insist that Esau is the white man. What about and there's some other tribes, Edomite tribes that are in Africa. But I wanted to play that clip here since I had that. Right? You know, when we start dealing with them, who are them? Who are those tribes? Who the Edoma tribe? Are you saying that they're lying? Who are the Edoma tribe? Now, were any of them on the slave ships? We can't say. One thing we do know, just with the scriptures and the history of the Edomites, they always had a way of circumventing or getting out of slavery. They always weaseled their way and entering into agreements with the enemies of Israel. One day I'm gonna do that lesson. I got a lesson I put together about hidden agreements dealing with the Edomites and how they were able to stay away from slavery. So what do you guys say about that? Those that are posting that I'm trying to play stuff to justify our argument. If it was true that Esau was this according to scripture, then I'll roll with it. I have no problem with that. But you have to, again, put things in its proper perspective. Adamawanai or Adamni comes from the primitive root word Adam or Adamah. Adamah, like the ground. David was described as being Adam or Adamah, right? Or Adamni, right? Same thing. Or if we say it in the ancient Hebrew, Adamawanai. Esau was described as the same. So what color is that? Matter of fact, do a little homework. Matter of fact, let me pull up the red heifer that you'll see in red. You'll still see the same word there. Let me pull up let me drop this in here real quick, and then we'll get into it. Because sometimes, family, you know, we tend to take stuff and run with it without properly vetting the information. Trust me, I have no problem to say that I'm wrong, but we do know that Esau, some of his descendants mixed with others and meshed with others, but not all of Esau did that. They married Canaanites, right? The scripture tells you that. Canaanite, you see Canaanites. Canaanites were not Caucasians. Israel mixed with some of the Israelites, not all of them, began to have relations with other nations. Let me see here. Let me pull this up here because, again, since we on this discussion and I'm doing a little, like we say back in the day, do a little freestyle here. Let me show you what the red heifer looks like, right? Let me pull that up real quick. Let me pull it up here because, some things you just got to just give an illustration. All right. Let me pull it up right now. All right. Let me see here. I'm going to copy this over so you guys can get a visual of the red heifer. And I am going to do this lesson. I've been meaning to do this lesson on the red heifer. Matter of fact, we'll do it next week. Let me pull this into this presentation and then I'll show you guys a couple of things from the ADL. All right. So let's go ahead and flip over. Let me give you a visual of the red heifer, which really I call the brown cow. All right. What is the prophecy of the red heifer? Not getting into it, but that is the red heifer right there. Does that look like a albino cow? Does it look like an albino cow? Right? This is Numbers chapter 19, verse 2. that they bring thee a red heifer, Adamah, without spot or blemish, right? So when we go to Adamah, notice what we see here. Adamah, in other words, from the soil, earth, ground, husband, from its general redness. So if we go back here, does that look like a albino calf? Does that look like an albino cow? I'm just gonna have you guys type it in the comment section. Tell me if you guys if that looks like an albino cow. All right. Can someone, in the comment section, just post your responses, and I'll give you guys some shout outs as we go, as I read off your responses. So tell me, does that look like a white cow, an albino cow? Now, of course, I had someone make a comment inside the comment section saying Adamni or Adamawanai. That's a separate word. That word means white. No, it doesn't. Because when you go to it, it's going to tell you it's going to refer to as the red heifer. It's going to be associated with that. I'm going to bring the definition up here too. You see the red heifer. You see lentils. Come on, family. When did you ever see white lentils cooked? Anyway, let's start with, we see my sister in the chat, Sister Carol in the chat. She says no. And I'll drop the link, sis, if you want to jump on. Feel free to jump on if you want to. Let's see here. Also, right trust, not to me. Mr. The Original School, nope. Into Focus, don't see it, right? Right? Doesn't look like an albino cow to me. Doesn't look like a red cow to me, right? Let's see here. Looks like Scottish Highway cow. I'm not sure about that, but anyway, Simo, right? No. Let's see here. Seem Dominican, negative. Jerry Carroll. Let's see what Jerry Carroll say. No. All right. Let's go down. Let's get some additional ones here. All right. Second Exodus. That cow looks ruddy or reddish brown. In second Exodus, he'll tell you there was a lot of crazy comments off the latest video that I uploaded, and I inserted this section where I was dealing with what's his name? William Shakespeare's brother, when he gave description of his brother. And the Chuck Missler made reference to Edom comes from the word red. And I wanted to make sure I gave clarity on red from the Hebraic school of thought. So I inserted that there so that way you guys can see the true understanding of what red is, what it means. That is not white, it's not Caucasian, and gave scriptures and sources to confirm that. So it was a lot of crazy, I'm not going to call it crazy, but I'll just say that some of the responses was way out there. Many of them were disrespectful comments. Some even took it as far as trying to say I'm trying to teach a Eurocentric doctrine by saying Esau was a Negro. Esau was a melanated, he was reddish brown. He was brown. And they were insinuating that I'm teaching Eurocentric doctrine. Show me a European that teach that Esau is dark skin. Because when we say dark skin, guess what? Dark skin has different shades. But show me. But this is the brown cow. It makes me think about Tribe Called Quest and all that, the brown cow, how now brown cow, you know what I mean? Makes me think about that. But anyway, so Appreciate it, Second Exodus, for holding it down inside the chat, the comment section, because I saw you responded to a lot of the craziness that were being posted there. All right. So as we see here, I could be an Edomite. Hey, you know, I know I'm not. You know what I mean? So I can't claim that one, but really appreciate it. Let's see what who else responded here. Natural, spiritual. It looks like Esau. Let's see. Love for Laura. No, doesn't look like it's albino to me. And see, that's one of the things too. Many are saying albino because they're looking at or they're reading the book of Enoch, and Enoch describes Noah of being albino. I mean, the book of Enoch is filled with contradictions. So that ties into the narrative of Noah being Caucasian and having Japheth being Caucasian, Shem being like a mixture, and Ham looking like Afro Thunder. Come on, family. We need to stop with this. That's why the book of Enoch, man, I don't support it whatsoever. It's a book it's really 3 portions of it that was written over a period from the 1st century BC through the 1st century to the early 2nd century AD, or the Common Era. And many of you guys would throw away what the Torah say and gravitate to that and give that more weight than what Moses said. Moses never described Noah. But in the book of Enoch, you got the angels, Caucasian. You got Noah, albino. In other words, leprosy, no pigmentation. Come on, family. Let me leave that alone. 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 All right. So let's go ahead and highlight a couple of things here. I did say that I was going to mention or share with you what the ADL say about Revelation 2 and 9 about the Black Hebrew Israelites. Of course, in that write-up that they have on their channel, they're directing it towards supposedly the camps or whatever. But nevertheless, let's see what they say here. And before I get started here, I want to say shout outs to Curly Girl for the love and support. Thank you for the super sticker tonight. Really appreciate you, as well as Grace Johnson. Thank you for the super sticker. And family, let's show them some love and support for them showing love and support tonight. Really appreciate you guys for all that you guys have done to support this channel. And with that being said, family, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything to hit that like or subscribe button. It does help with the what they call it in YouTube. They call it what they call it. I forgot what they call it. The reach, who is reaching and so forth. It does help out with that when you click that like button and you post comments inside the comment section. Okay, so let's go and see what the ADL say about. Let's see what they say about the Revelation 2 and 9, right? Because according to many of these groups that are coming against our community, and they would say that the Israelites have been, actually that's my quote here. Israelites have been ridiculed for referencing Revelation 2 and 9, 3 and 9 to referring that to the Khazarian imposters who have hijacked the true Israelites' identity, right? So we have been ridiculed for some of us who may teach this here. Now, I understand the history because I taught this one way, right? But then when you start looking at it from the historical aspects, and when I put the lesson together titled Act of Hostility, you start seeing it another way. That, hey, you have people pretending to be the real people, pretending to be Israelites, Okay. But anyway, this is coming from the ADL's website, extremist sect within the Black Hebrew Israelites movement. So they're saying, like, within the Black Hebrew Israelite movement, and none of us call ourselves Black Hebrew Israelites, that in itself is an oxymoron. That's what they created and others created. Went from Black identity extremists to Black Hebrew Israelites. Now many of them just calling us Israelites. But anyway, extreme sects within the Black Hebrew Israelite movement. And this, they posted this on August 7th, 2020. Right. And as you see here at the bottom here, they have the scripture here, Revelation 3:9. But I want to just highlight a couple of the bullets here. I think starting here, this paragraph here is what I'm going to read off from. Actually, probably the one above it. But nevertheless, it says extremist sects represent a vocal subsection of the larger BHI movement. Just as not all BHI adherents are extremists, not all extremist sects preach the same level of hatred. Come on, family. You see the slap in our face? You know, and this is why I laugh when they come up with these labels. I am not a Black Hebrew Israelite. I'm an Hebrew Israelite, period. It's an oxymoron. We already know who they are. None of us call ourselves that. This is the label that they created. But nevertheless, just as not all BHI adherents are extremists, not all extremist sect preach the same level of hatred. You see what I'm saying? So anyway, the most active extremist sects have hardened their messages after decades of operation. The anti-Semitic beliefs that some express include claims that Jews have no right to Israel as a homeland, contentious that Israel will not be fruitful until returned to the Israelites, accusations that Jews purposely enslaved Black individuals to steal their identity, and assertions that Jews are imposters or satanic. Now, I'm going to, being that we mentioned the slave thing, I am going to add some slides here to show that they enslaved our people. They played a major role in that on most of the ports, most of the ships, most of the banks that was, established by using our people as collateral. When you look at most of the colleges, or actually all the universities of that time, starting with the Ivy League schools, as well as the Big E schools like Georgetown, they used our people as collateral to secure their property, to secure their institutions, to build their institutions. So accusations that Jews purposely enslaved Black individuals to steal their identity, and assertions that Jews are imposters or satanic. Judaism is frequently referred to as the Synagogue of Satan. Stolen identity is a central piece of the ideology and the basis of animosity towards Jews. Among the commonly cited passages used to justify this hatred. And so as you see in the back here, you see below that, I just didn't post it here, but they have Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. All right, so let me play this clip again of these evangelical preachers, and let's see if these communities do videos on them. Let's see if these different groups out here have conferences and write books off of them. And it's not just them, but let's see if they give them the same treatment. Let's see if they pop up on ADL's website. Let's see if they pop up on Southern Poverty website. Let's see if they pop up on some of these platforms because of what they pointed out. So let me play these two pastors, evangelical pastors, one more time, just so that way you guys can hear it. Those that just jumped in, let's see what they say. Here we go.
And so when he's saying he's coming to redeem, while he would say, redeem Israel, O God, out of all their troubles. First thing they need to be redeemed at, more dangerous than Hamas, more dangerous than Muslim neighbors, are internal, these, and there's another biblical name, these who say they are Jews and are not.
I was going to ask you about that. Revelation 3:8, I think. I was going to ask you that question. Does that refer to this time, or can it refer to this time?
It can. It's Revelation 3:9. Indeed, I will make those of the synagogue of Satan who say they are Jews and are not, but lie.
Yeah.
And there's a different application for it. But we understand this is really, there's a practical storyline I've shared before on a program, maybe a year ago, I don't know, about the Khazarian Mafia and the Khazarian Jews. And I'll just say the briefest understanding of it and how this applies to them, because it's about 1,000 years ago. Really, these are almost like marauding tribes, not like tribes of the tribe of Israel, but they're based out of the Ukraine, ironically or not, based out of Kiev. And these were those that would go around, take new lands, and they were known, they had brought the Babylonian religion with them. They were doing cannibalism, human trafficking, no boundaries, sex interaction. They were so wicked that the story goes that he who led, I believe he was a czar of Russia, when he had won a battle against him, gave him an option. And in some way or another, this is a truth that they were told, again, 1,000 years ago, you must choose a religion. You all are worthless people. You're not training your kids into any kind of civility, reasonableness. And he gave them a choice of the three Abrahamic religions.
All right. So, those two pastors, evangelical pastors, they are teaching. And as you heard, one of the pastors asked the other, saying that there's a different application of that, especially for the time that we live in. Did you guys catch that? So we understand, I understand that how that passage is taught, but they also made mention of a different application of that passage. See, what are they going to say about that? What are they going to say about that? See, they will describe this, when I say they, how you're taught from Christianity perspective, that there were some Jews per se that was, literally, attacking the church, attacking the followers of Christ, right? Attacking the church. They'll make the 7 assemblies, these Israelite assemblies, they'll make it into the church, and that these Jews were attacking the church. And then they'll take Paul's letters to say, well, what makes a Jew is their heart, right? It's the heart that makes a Jew. It's not their flesh, it's not their bloodline. So they'll tie that into this passage here, saying that, hey, the church, right? You had the Jews coming at the church. Anyway, come on, family. So that's why you heard them say, well, a different application. And they applied it to where we are today, of stating that these, I'll just say name stealers, took an identity that did not belong to them. I mean, come on now. Let me just play this one more time. This I know Sister Carol, it works her, it gets her worked out when she hear this particular clip right here. But let's see what this person says.
You say, well, where did the name Ashkenazi came from? So a little over 1,000 years ago, as Jewish people scattered around the world had now emigrated in Europe and now were living in the Rhineland in Germany, they looked at the name Gomer in Genesis 10, and they connected Gomer with Germany, so they took on the identity of the name Ashkenaz. It has nothing to do with Ashkenaz in the Bible, which is a descendant of Japhet. It's just a name that was taken. Okay, it's that simple. Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin or anything else. It was shortened from a Russian name when my grandfather came over at Ellis Island. The name got shortened to Brown. It's just a name. That's all it is. So the idea that Ashkenazi Jews are descended from Japhet is a myth, 100% false, zero truth to it. Just study the history.
So he admits saying that there was a migration and took an identity, even though we know that that migration was an invasion, but it didn't come from Israel direction. Came from a different territory, different group of people. But you heard what he said, just based off of the comments that he shared. It ties into Revelation 2:9, Revelation 3:9, based off of just what he said. If you agree, type 1. If you disagree, type 2. And no hard feelings if you disagree. But his comments that he made, does it fall right into being imposters or taking something that did not belong to them, to his group, his nation he descended from? Right? Because it makes me think about this here.
You might run into one of these groups of the Khazarians that would kill you after learning everything they could about you. They would steal your story, then they would go to China, pretend to be you, make the deal, and then go back, and the deal never happened. You might run into one of these groups of the Khazarians that would kill you after learning everything they could about you. They would steal your story, then they would go to China, pretend to be you, make the deal, and then go back, and the deal never happened. But the fact is that the clan here was not descended from Shem through Judah, right? I mean, it's not descended from that line biblically. But the fact is that the clan here was not descended from Shem through Judah, right? I mean, it's not descended from that line biblically.
Now, family, come on, family. Just listening to that, just listen to what he said. It's a lot of people that is teaching this, but why isn't it those people? You know, how come we don't see videos being made towards that guy and others that are teaching pretty much the same? You know, when I did this lesson almost a year ago, as you can see here, I took the theme of Enter the Spider-Verse, because when I think about this character, Miles Morales, he's dealing with an identity crisis. He's dealing with an issue with who he is and how he was called an anomaly. He was literally called an anomaly inside the movie, and that stood out for me. You know, because there's a lot of parallels to his character that makes me think about our people. Like his uncle named Aaron. It's a lot that you can extract from that. But when we look at the word anomaly, it means something that deviates from what is standard, normal, or expected. So when you think about Enter the Spider-Verse or whatever, he was considered the anomaly because he was bitten by a spider from a different universe, right? Somehow one of the scientists in one of his experiments, he managed to send a spider to another universe, which Miles Morales lived. and he was bitten by that spider, which produced two Spider-Mans. But in the Spider-Verse, so to speak, that it was supposed to go, now it says that that particular universe, that particular Spider-Verse, don't have a Spider-Man, which it, in the end results, it produced a Prowler. Not getting into all of that. But he was told that he was the anomaly, that he's not the standard. It says something that deviates from what is standard, normal, or expected. See, family, the way that we are being treated, we are the original, but we are treated as if we are the anomalies, that we deviate from what is standard, normal, or expected, right? Think about it. Because the way things are being taught about the ancient Israelites, they make them into being Caucasians. Now they attacking or attaching every community that's associated with them in the scriptures, like the Egyptians, making them into just whitewashing them. Every community that was melanated, dark melanated people, they are now whitewashed. So now we are treated as if we are the anomaly. We deviate from what is considered standard, what is considered normal, what is expected. So when you, and I know some of you guys, because of what you've been hearing about Esau, right, being the white man. So when you see the video that I played earlier of Edomite tribe, right, making it clear that they are descendants of Edom, and they say that they've been keeping things from the Torah. They seem, based upon how things have been manipulated, information has been manipulated, to be the anomaly. In family, Esau did worship Yahweh. You can read the scriptures. The Edomites were worshiping in the temple. King Herod did what to the temple? But nevertheless, this is why when I saw that movie, or the two movies, it really said a lot, because there was a lot of subliminals that was inside that movie, right? So when we look at the etymology of the word anomaly, it says here unevenness, deviation from the common rule, inequality, uneven, irregular. See, that's how we are treated, as if there is something wrong with us. That's how the entire, we could just say the entire world, other cultures, other communities, when they look at us and we, many of us are waking up to who we are, they treat us as if we are irregular. That we are, as you see here, something abnormal. So Miles Morales was told that he is uneven, a deviation from the common rule, abnormal for being a Spider-Man. So a pig could be a Spider-Man, right? A little girl could be a Spider-Man. A horse could be a Spider-Man, but not this Negro, or we could say Spanish Negro, because his father was a Negro, his mother was Spanish. And if I remember correctly, it was Dominican. She was from Dominican. So anyway, but nevertheless, he was viewed as being abnormal, and we are viewed as being abnormal. He was called this because he chose not to allow his father to become a possible blood sacrifice for the supposed greater good. Remember how, you see the symbolic things that they have here, right? He was supposed to, in order to be part of the group and part of the fraternity, every Spider-Man had to have a loved one who died. Everyone had an Uncle Ben who died, or someone along the line that they had to sacrifice in order to be part of the reindeer game. So he was called an anomaly because he would not fall in line. He was called an anomaly. That's when it all came out, because he did not want to fall in line. And that's why we are being referred to as if we are the anomalies, because we are not allowing anyone to tell our story anymore. We're telling our own story. We are telling our truth based upon the scriptures, based upon historical proof, based upon our DNA. We are allowing all of these things to come together to now tell the actual truth of who we are. We're no longer going to sit back and let other people tell us who we are. We've been down that road too long, and it's already proven if we have to depend on other people to tell us who we are, they are going to water it down. They're going to massage it. They're going to distort it. They're going to tell you exactly what they want to tell you to keep you in a certain position to their advantage. So he was called this because he chose not to allow his father to become a possible blood sacrifice for the supposed greater good. And likewise, we, the Negroes in the U.S., are considered to be uneven. We are considered to be a deviation from the common rule. We are abnormal for being blood descendants of the ancient Israelites. And this is why when you guys see this video here, every time you see this video, it makes you cringe.
You know what you are? You're an ancient Israelite.
Ancient Israel, that's who we are. That's who we are. So if you give me time, if you give me time, all that he said,
I know. We don't have
so many years.
I know. Look at this. This is pages and pages of notes. And I promise we'll give more teaching. But here is my challenge to you.
All right.
I'm hearing some of your traditions. It's like the days of the Bible.
Yes.
Do you want to remain ancient Israelites, or you want to be Jews? Do you want to remain ancient Israelites, or you want to be Jews? Do you want to remain ancient Israelites, or you want to be Jews?
Now, I want to make this statement to, I see a comment here saying they didn't need his stamp of approval. That when you watch the entire interview, that wasn't about them trying to get his approval. Actually, the Sephardic group, Obadiah Alliance, confirmed them, right? But not that guy. That guy, he traveled to different tribes, right? He went to the Limba, but they didn't have him come out to validate them, right? None of the sort. That had not none of the sort. Had nothing to do with it. That had nothing to do with it. They were not seeking his approval, and actually they gave him a clap back to that too, to make it clear that they are the original, that he is the in a nutshell, he is the modern, right? I don't have the clip here because of there's a limit of clips that we can upload here, so I don't have the clip here. All right, but nevertheless, we are asked to denounce our connection to the ancient Israelites, practice Judaism, and become Jews. Let me say that again. We are asked to denounce our connection to the ancient Israelites, practice Judaism, and become Jews. That's similar to what Miles had to do, right? They want us to make some type of blood sacrifice, birthright sacrifice, so that way they will still be in the driver's seat. But you know what, family? Right now, if you type in Israelites, guess what? It's going to pull us up in the top of the results. Whether it's good or bad, more and more, they're starting to recognize that we're Israelites. They may look at it, that they really, their agendas moving forward, pressing forward full speed, steam ahead, but they are still doing what? Calling us Israelites. They're not calling us Jews. They're calling us Israelites. They're saying it in a derogative way, a negative way. But guess what? They're still saying that we are Israelites. I am not going to denounce my Hebrew Israelite identity for anyone. Anyone. And since I mentioned that, some of you guys remember this. Let me see here. Y'all probably remember this from a lesson that I did, stating that they don't have to show their DNA, but we do. The DNA doesn't matter when it comes to them now, but it matters to us. And now it's to the point that they're saying that that they can't trust the DNA. Let me see if I could pull this up here. Right? Let me see if I can pull this up. Let me close this presentation out. You guys remember this? You guys remember this? Let me see here. I think I have it here. Let me pull it up real quick. I'm trying to pull, there it is, right? This is coming from DNA Tribes, right? This is coming from DNA Tribes. And again, this is not needing validation, but guess what? The Most High has a way, he has a great sense of humor, that everything that they try to take away from us, when I say they, this agenda that wants to downplay who we are, the Most High has a way of validating who we are. Right. So let me bring this up real quick. I'm just pasting this into this presentation. And let me just pull this up here. And this is coming from the Ashkenazi Jewish geneticist, a really cool guy, Aaron Elhike, right? Who proved what was initially called the Khazarian, what they call it, the Khazarian hypothesis. He proved that it's real. Let me do something real quick. I'm just changing. There it is. I'm just trying to make sure the information presents correctly. All right. Now peep this out, family. Let's peep it out. Here we go. So this is my DNA results on ancient origin DNA, right? This is what it says. Now, this is for Simeon, right? The tribe of Simeon says that, my genetic similarity, you see 5%. 5%. Then when we go to another tribe here, this is Levi, right? I know it's not 100%, but it's 15%, 10 to 15%, right? Now, actually 10% now, but I know that's not 100%. But I believe it's 10%. The accuracy is 10 to 15%. All right. But it didn't stop there. So we had Reuben, we have the Levites, 10 to 15%. Then not only did we see that, now when we go to Judah, look at what it says for Judah. 10%. So let's just say 10% plus 15 plus another 10, that's 25. So between 25 to 30%, stating that I am connected to the southern kingdom, which is called Judah. And this is coming from Aaron Elhike's DNA tool. Come on, family. Matter of fact, let me just play a quick clip of his if they allow it to play, because you know they have a tendency of muting out certain videos because they don't want certain information to be shared. But listen to what he said about the Khazars, about the now debunked or not Ryland hypothesis, and how he proves that the Khazarian hypothesis is facts.
When you see Ashkenazic Jews sharing high similarity to Romanians and Hungarians, this is because both of these populations were offshoots of the Khazars. They were both founded by these members of the Caucasus who ruled this area of north of the Black Sea, where we have South Russia nowadays, between the 7th and 13th centuries. Very powerful empire. They converted to Judaism in the 8th century, and they sent offshoots to Eastern Europe. And we still some Ashkenazic Jews are mapped to this region of Ukraine. They're not all mapped to Ashkenaz. Most of them are, but some of them are mapped to Ukraine, and we can see very nicely some kind of migration route using GPS.
So, family, even when we continue to piggyback off of the Miles Morales, right? Everyone can tell his story, but he can't. Let me say that again. Everyone can tell his story, but he cannot tell his own story. And likewise, just like Miles Morales, everyone can tell their own story, but the Negro. Anything, anyone, but the Negro. They can tell you their heritage. They can tell you, for example, they can have St. Patrick's Day on celebrating their heritage and still be within the boundaries of Christianity. But if we have those that can prove and have proven that we're connected to the ancient Israelites, we get told that it just doesn't matter. You know, as long as the blood was red, as long as the blood was red, it really just doesn't matter. How many of you guys heard that before?
It just doesn't matter. 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 It just doesn't matter.
It does not matter what color Jesus was. What matters is that he came to the earth, lived a perfect life, died a death for the sins of the world, and then conquered the grave, proving that he is the Son of God. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. That's all that matters.
It just doesn't matter. 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 It just doesn't matter.
That's how they rally, family. Everything that concerns us, it just doesn't matter. From reparations to the educational system, it just doesn't matter. Have you guys heard that before? Before you can prove that you are the people of the book, they didn't mind telling you that Christ was Caucasian, that Christ looked like he was a hippie. They didn't have a problem with that. But then when you start going into the details of Revelation chapter 1 and Revelation chapter 2, then you start unpacking Jeremiah chapter 14. You know, when you start unpacking your DNA and when you start unpacking your family history, when you start unpacking those things, all of a sudden, it just doesn't matter. I've actually had someone say they are glad that I proved to them that Christ was a Negro, because now they don't have to look at Christ as if he's better than them. Come on, family. It's real. This racism is real. Would rather worship a Martian Christ than a Negro Messiah. They would rather say he's green, because when they say olive, they're dealing with the unripe olive. They would rather say he's green. They would come up with things of saying Middle Eastern. They would say anything but saying that he is a Negro. Come on, family. Everyone can tell our story but us. Anyone can be a Spider-Man, even a pig. Oink, oink, but not a Negro. Come on, that's in the movie. Any and everyone can be a so-called name stealer, but the Negro. That is a fact. That is a fact, family. And these are those evangelical pastors who questioned, who were teaching out of Revelation 2 and 9, and also Revelation 3 and 9, saying that, those scriptures, as far as, applying those scriptures differently now, especially when you start seeing what's happening. They know. So many of them know, but not many of them are bold enough to speak on what they know. All right. So I'm not going to get into the heritage part. Let me see here. Where do I want to skip to? Let's see here. Yeah, family. They definitely attacked the marriage. I'm not going to deal with marriage right now. But I do want to go here. Genesis 3, verse 15. The prophecy of act of hostility, right? This is when Adam, Eve, Hawa, when they got in trouble and they were standing before the Most High along with the serpent, and the Most High passed judgment. And this is the penalty. This is the results. This is the judgment against the woman and the seed and the serpent and the seed of the serpent. It says, I will put enmity. I'm saying it from the ancient Hebrew, ayaba. I will put enmity, ayaba, between thee and the woman, between thy seed, and the Hebrew word is zara, and her seed. It shall bruise, shawap, thy head, ra'ash, and thou shalt bruise, shawap, his heel. All right. So what is enmity? What is enmity? Well, when we go to the Oxford Dictionary definition of this word, it says the state or feeling of being actively opposed or hostile to someone or something. And family, we are the recipient of this spirit of active hostility. We are the recipients of those that have agendas that are hostile towards us. I can't think of the channel right now that's by brother. It's a brother man down in Atlanta. He's a lawyer, and I think it's Undisputed. I think that's the name of his channel. Every day, he's posting a situation that our people have to deal with, whether it's children, whether it's women, whether it's men. You don't see those incidents in any other community, whether it's by way of the law enforcement or Caucasians taking law into their own hands. I just saw something earlier where a white guy shot kids with toy guns and trying to claim self-defense. Show me any other community that is going through what we're going through. Show me. I showed you guys the clip, and I'm going to show more of it. The documentary about the ADL, and they were looking for an actual event or actual situation to say, hey, that's anti-Semitic. They had someone that they pulled up saying they were calling because they couldn't get the day off to honor a feast day. And they called that an incident. But show me any other group of people, including those that are from India that have dark melanated skin, show me where they have to fear for their lives when they get pulled over by the police officers. Show me any other community that is going through what we are going through, which proves, and it's not just in the United States, contrary to what some may teach. This is happening in France. This is happening in Spain. This is happening in Italy. This is happening in the UK. This is happening happening in Brazil. This is happening in matter of fact, if you look at the island, when you look at Haiti, and you look at what's that country? Now I can't think of the country that's on the other side of Haiti, the same island. You guys know, help me out here. I can't think of now what it's called. I can't think of the name now. But anyway, share the same island as Haiti, and Haiti is downtrodden. Why? Because they were the only group, Dominican Republican. Appreciate it, Benjamin. Thank you for bringing that up. You know, I was trying to think about it. Couldn't. I had a brain moment, but yeah, Haiti, they got blacklisted. In other words, all the countries, all the nations did not trade with them. So they suppressed that territory. That's why the territory is the way that it is, because of them being blacklisted, because they fought and won their freedom from the colonizers. All right. So everywhere, no matter where we are treated worse, the least. Active hostility. You know, not dormant, active, proactive hostility. And so they did everything to contaminate the marriage. Why? Because you contaminate the marriage, you contaminate the seed. In slavery, guess what? Our ancestors were not married. A slave was not married. They were shacking up. They were the slave masters did not marry them, because had they done that, then by law, by them raping our women, they would have been breaking the law. Let me share something real quick. Since we mentioned marriage, contaminate marriage, you contaminate the seed. Marriage isn't what it used to be. As American has evolved over the centuries, so too has the institution of marriage. In colonial times, marriage was largely a matter of property and reproduction. When a colonial woman married, she gave up any legal right as an individual. She was legally bound to obey her husband just as she would obey God. Despite this, colonial marriage rarely happened in churches. What's more, few people found fault with pregnant women marrying. In fact, the practice was quite common in early America. None of these conditions applied to slaves, however, who were forbidden from marrying at all. Let me say that again. Who were forbidden marrying at all. Come on, family. That's how our ancestors were not married during slavery. A slave could not be married. If you saw that movie, Birth of a Nation, remember where the man whose wife was actually Nat Turner, whose wife was raped. He wanted to attend to his wife, supposedly, but the slave master had to give him permission. That's not marriage. So corrupt the marriage, you corrupt the seed. Corrupt the marriage, you, through traumatic experiences, or they, through traumatic experiences, they change, they alter, they modify our reproductive system. And now they pass down what is called generational curses. Contaminate the seed. Contaminate what we understand of what marriage is. Contaminate it. In the Talmud, right? This is what they say about Adam. This is coming from the Midrash. He created him an hermaphrodite, bisexual. So they know that Adam is a dark, melanated man. They know this, family. They know that Adam is dark, melanated, so they have to contaminate. Family, I'm not going to get into the teaching. I may do it, next week. I may even do a special live tomorrow to go back inside the Talmud and show you guys, according to the Jewish community, Adam was a strange creature. It wasn't until Seth, according to the Jewish literature, Seth is supposedly be the progenitor of the true human race. Adam was the progenitor, according to their doctrine, of strange creatures. That's why they say he was a hermaphrodite. They believe that he had webbed hands and webbed feet and had a tail. And so the Negroes are supposedly, according to their doctrine, directly descended from Adam. That's why they refer to us as being strange creatures in the Talmud, comparing us to monkeys, comparing us to apes, right? And this is where you get the doctrine, the Negro of a beast. So they viewed us as being strange creatures. And again, Adam, a hermaphrodite. That's how they viewed Adam. They won't tell you this true Adam right now. They trying to change up Adam now, but they don't want you to know that this is how Adam really looked.
Wells comes face to face with the man he's been searching for. A new portrait of the common ancestor of every man today. Adam. Without the skull, we can't know for sure what Adam looked like. But a combination of genetic evidence, vendors' forensic skills, and cutting-edge computer software suggests he looked something like this. Thousands of years after the Bible, and hundreds of years after Michelangelo, we have a whole new face for Adam.
Now, peep this out. This is a source. This book, you look it up, this is a very costly book. This is not a book that costs you like $20 or $30. You're talking 500 plus. And when you purchase this book, it's actually a pretty much a volume, like a 3-part volume, and you're spending, when I purchased this volume, it's like $1,500. So this is Origins of Design in Nature, a fresh interdisciplinary look at how design emerges in complex systems by Springer, Netherlands. And these are from the name Stiller's community. All right. So this is coming from their source. Notice what it says here. At creation, the creatures were not made in perfect anatomical or anatomical form. Excuse me if I butchered the word. Let me read that again. At creation, the creatures were not made in perfect anatomical form, and they continue to develop and change along the way. Several examples for this involve Adam, the first man, is described as a creature in a intermediate development stage. So they're saying that when Adam was created, let me stretch this out. They are saying that when Adam was created, Adam was not created completely. He had flaws, even though the scripture makes it clear that Yahweh said that his creation, all of his creation was good. But when you see here, it says here, it says at creation, the creatures were not made in perfect anatomical form, and they continue to develop and change along the way. Several examples for this involve Adam, the first man, is described as a creature in an intermediate development stage, basically saying that he was evolving. He was created double-faced and only later was separated into two independent entities, male and female, and it gives you the references that in the Talmud. He was born as a hermaphrodite. Bereshit Rabbah, this is in the Mishnah. He had joint fingers and only one from the period of Noah and onward were humans born with separate fingers. So notice what it says. It says he had joint fingers and only from the period of Noah and onward, humans born with fingers separated. It says here, he had a tail or a sting. He fathered strange creatures. Only from Seth onward did the human race come into existence. So notice what they say. They said that Adam fathered strange creatures. They described Adam as being a strange creature. And if Adam, according to the scriptures, is created in the image of the Father, which is Yahweh, then they're saying Yahweh is a strange Most High. But it says only from Seth onward did the human race come into existence. So the strange creatures that they are referring to is us, the Negro, whom they refer to as beasts. Now, peep this out. I'm going to prove this. When we go to Barakoth 61a, look at what it says here. Right? This is dealing with Adam. I don't need to read that. This is just what they confirmed in that article. Right? This is coming from another book of the Talmud. And notice what it says here again. It's still dealing with Adam, saying he had two faces, saying that he had a tail and all that other stuff. But here they saying he had two faces. You go to the Midrash. This is what the Midrash says. The Midrash says here, he created him an hermaphrodite. That's what I read earlier. In other words, bisexual. All right. So according to the Jewish community, as we know them, Adam is the progenitor of strange creatures. But it says Seth is where the human race actually began. But who is these strange creatures? Well, let's go to their Talmud. Judaism is the source of the doctrine of Negroes a beast. They are their doctrine. That's the source. Judaism is the source of the doctrine of the so-called curse of Ham. So if we go to Barakoth 58b, let's see what it says. Let's read it here. It says, one sing pockmarked purses. One says, blessed be he who makes strange creatures. An objection was raised if one see a Negro, right? See, now they're referring to Negroes as being what? Strange creatures. Adam is a strange creature. Now the Negro, it says here, if one sees a Negro, a very red or very white hunchback person, in other words, you have a Negro or a Negro who is deformed or short, where it says hunchback or dwarf, this is still dealing with Negroes. When it says very red, in other words, light or albino, where it says very white, that's dealing with albinism. Come on, family. Negroes, we got to make sure we don't get caught up in pushing their doctrine indirectly when you say that Esau is the white man. But anyway, a Negro, a very red or very white person, a hunchback, a dwarf. But it didn't stop there. It says here, our rabbis taught, right? Our rabbis taught on seeing an elephant, an ape, or a long-tailed ape. One says, "Blessed is he who makes strange creatures." So we see that in the Talmud, right, they refer to Adam as being strange creatures. In their doctrine, they refer to Adam as being strange creatures. They refer to Seth as being the progenitor or father of the human race. And we, the Negroes, we are strange creatures, and we don't fall up under Seth. We fall up under Adam because, as you see, they're referring to Adam as being a hermaphrodite, being in a developmental stage, of his existence. He was deformed. That's what they're teaching. All right. So that's their doctrine. That is their doctrine. That is their doctrine. All right. That is their doctrine. That is their doctrine. All right, let's get into this here. Let me transition over to another presentation. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys caught that. Wanted to make sure you see how they described our people, how they describe Adam. So let's transition from here. Let me close out this here. Right. Let me toggle back over to this presentation here. Let me close out a couple of things here. Let's see here. Let's close this out. Bear with me one second, family. All right. Now, let me stop this here. And this is why it just for our brothers and sisters that are caught up in this Talmudic doctrine, and so many within our community are pushing this doctrine on our people. It's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. Let me share this real quick. All right, we have this back up. Let me see if I can share this. And let me know if you guys can see this. All right, let's see here. Let me bring this up here. That's not what I want. All right, there we go. If you guys can see this, type 1. If you can see this, this presentation again. So Synagogue of Satan, Imposters. All right. Now I had someone jump in, who was posting all kinds of comments in the chat about Esau being the white man and all that other stuff. Family, I have no patience for that tonight. I really don't. But I'm going to play this video again, and then we'll get into, we'll address a couple of things when we deal with Ruddy. All right, let me go ahead and play this video, these two video clips about the Edomite tribe, who are descendants of Esau in Africa. Let me play this real quick.
Plus, in Nigeria, there is a remnant of Edomites. I know a lot of people say Esau is the white man, but they do not know African history. Also, I believe a remnant in North Sudan and Saudi Arabia. I do believe that Edo and Idoma are Bantu Hebrews, but not Israelite, but Edomite. The people of Edom currently settled in the Savannah region of Nigeria. They are not a missing race because I come from the tribe of Edom. The spelling has changed over the years from Idumia to Idoma, but the pronunciation is still the same. The name Aduma is still widely used in the present Edoma. Esau, whom the Edomites came from, had 2 wives. He married from the land of Canaan. The first wife was called Ada. Ada is a name that is still commonly used by Edomites. Ada is the first daughter of any family in Edoma. The name Edom is pronounced as Edorm, which means my kind of person. Elah is one of the princes of Edom. He was the son of Ada, but today the spelling of Elah has changed, but some of the people still spell it the old way. My surname is Elah, but the spelling has been changed to Elah. Our tradition is the same with the Old Testament tradition of Israel. We have only one God who is in heaven. We traded in salt and worked with copper, as copper was used as currency at that time. We were told by our fathers that we left our land because of war. We are spread over 3 states in Nigeria. We tease those that went further south that they left us because they went to look for salt. Our women were very hairy, with thick black hair before they started burning their hair with chemicals. The stripped Jewish cloth was our cloth until my father changed the color to red and black. When I asked my father why, he told me it was because of the red soil. The soil of the area we settled in Nigeria is also very red. Some of our names sound very much like Israeli names. For example, Anita and Onyahu sound very much like Netanyahu. Our customs include the peace offering and sin offering and most of the practices by Israel in the Old Testament.
Because I shared this information this past week about Shakespeare. Shakespeare, in his own autobiography, the autobiography of Shakespeare, a fragmented by, have quotes of Shakespeare making it clear that he's dark and that he's an Israelite on page 57 and 58. So I took it a step further. I wanted to make sure, that, and I went back through it again. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't just taking what he said out of context, that he's not referring to himself as being a convert or anything like that. He says that his grandfather was an Israelite. He said his father looked just like his grandfather, dark, short, big head, right? But then he gave some key nuggets here when he described his own brother. And this is what he just says about his own brother. He says this in his autobiography on page 19. He says, "He loved us, my younger brother John and me, but he often seemed as if we were not living or loving him, though at times he would play with us and tell us stories and sing to us and buy us sweet meats and toys. I was but a very little boy, but I mind me well of him and of his fantastic way of curling his mustachios or mustache and beard, which were dark and shining and were as fine large eyes, were very unlike the hue and complexion of Shakespeare of Warwick." But notice what he says here. He makes it clear that his brother's skin complexion is not like the Shakespeares of Warwick and Stratford on Avon and of other parts, whom I did in after years meet, which were light and somewhat inclined to be red or auburn. So he's saying that his brother was lighter than him, right? So the key is we have to understand what auburn is, because when people will read this, they automatically think of Shakespeare being Caucasian, because Shakespeare said his brother was lighter than him. So that means that his brother was lighter than Shakespeare. His brother was lighter than the Israelites or the Shakespeares in this territory. And as you see here, it says Stratford on Avon, right? And when I'm from New Jersey, I'm from Newark, I think of Avon Avenue. But anyway, notice what we see here about the word auburn. right? When you look up Auburn, this is the color spectrum of Auburn. Auburn comes in multiple shades. Now, family, this is Auburn. Auburn, just like ruddy, comes in different shades. As you see here, Shakespeare is describing his brother as being ruddy. He's describing his brother as being, even though he used the word Auburn, but we're going to see what Auburn means. But we see Auburn, as you see here. This is the shades, the different shades of Auburn, just like we come in different shades. But you don't see white. In other words, no pigmentation. So the etymology dictionary definition of Auburn says this: white, whitish, yellowish, white, flaxen color, off-white, whitish, right? And we know that that's not what Shakespeare was referring to. The meaning shifted 16th century to reddish brown. And then we see the word brun, in other words, brown. So when Shakespeare describes his brother, he's describing him as Auburn, a reddish brown. Shakespeare said his brother's skin complexion was lighter than his. So that means that Shakespeare's skin complexion, right, going back here, was darker than these shades here. This is telling you that Shakespeare was darker than any of these shades here. Let's just say if his brother was closer to this shade, that means that Shakespeare had to be in this area. But it says that Shakespeare said his brother was lighter than he and the other relatives. But we still see that this is not dealing with a Caucasian person. This is not dealing with what we would call today, what is called deemed today as being white, part of the white race. All right. So Shakespeare said his brother's skin complexion was lighter than his. And when you look at his skin complexion, Shakespeare describes his brother's skin complexion as auburn, which would be synonymous to biblical ruddy. So what is the definition of biblical ruddy? And we'll get to Esau in a second here. This is what ruddy means. This is coming from the International Standard Bible Encyclopedia, 1915, right? During the time, right, of the height of we could say the Jim Crow laws were still in full effect, the suppression of our people. But yet we see inside this source in 1915 describing ruddy. Ruddy is the form taken by the adjective red when used as a term of praise of human skin. And this is its use in the Bible. It says the Hebrew and Greek words are all usual words for red or to be red. The dark-skinned Hebrews found great beauty in a clear complexion. I'm not going to do my slow-mo talk here. But the dark-skinned Hebrews, it didn't say light-skinned Hebrews, it didn't say white Hebrews. It says the dark-skinned Hebrews found a great beauty in a clear complexion. So when the scriptures describing Esau is telling you that Esau, right, dealing with Jacob and Esau, when it deals with his skin complexion, telling you that he had smooth skin, dark skin, whether you want to say reddish brown, but dark skin, we just like the heifer, the red heifer, it doesn't look albino, it doesn't look like a Caucasian color, it's a dark brown, it's a reddish brown. So if you want to go with the reddish brown, right, the dark-skinned Hebrews found great beauty in a clear complexion. The scriptures are telling you that there was nothing flawed about Esau's skin because he was abnormally hairy all over. So that's why they're telling you that his skin, there was no imperfections in his skin, despite him being hairy all over. Some of you guys got family members that's very hairy than an arm. Come on now, we have to be real about it. But when you try to equate Esau to being a Caucasian, now you're taking on the racial components that was instituted or inserted or interpolated the understanding of the text that started in the 16th century, the 17th century, when they began to redefine who the Israelites are. They began to, when I say they, the other communities through religion began to what? Appropriate cultures and artwork, heritage to them, whitewashing everything. All right. So the dark-skinned Hebrews found great beauty in a clear complexion. So David is described as comely and dark. In other words, you see the word ruddy. As you see here, it says, now he was ruddy and withal of a beautiful countenance. So you can't say that David is dark. You can't say David is melanated, but then Esau is the white man. You can't have it both ways. If you're going to say Esau is the white man, then you have to say David is the white man. Because ruddy, whether it's Adamah or Adamawana or Adamni, however you want to pronounce it, ruddy comes from the primitive root word Adam. And Adam comes from the word Adamah because Adam was formed from the ground. Come on, family. Now, I'm not saying that Esau, some of his descendants, didn't marry into other communities, because they did, just like the Israelites did. But Esau was not white. Some of his descendants married Ishmael's daughter. Matter of fact, Esau married Ishmael's daughter. And you see Canaanites. Come on, family. It's just that simple. So this is the KJV. You see the word ruddy, and withal of a beautiful countenance. Then when we look at another transliteration, the ISV, he was dark, healthy complexion, because ruddy from a medical perspective means having what? Healthy skin. So he was dark and he had what? Healthy complexion, and he had beautiful eyes. That's the ISV. The NHEB translation, he was reddish brown. Wait a minute, that still sounds like Auburn, right? Had beautiful eyes. He was handsome, right? So ruddy is just describing what? His healthy, beautiful, dark brown skin. Let's go to another. The NLT, he was dark and handsome with beautiful eyes. All right. So when we get over to Genesis, right, this is what it says. Yahweh said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one who shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. So when we see 2 nations, right, we're dealing with 2 manner of people. You see the word Arak, right? Darak is the word that comes from this. This is 2 manner of people. Well, what does that mean? Has nothing to do with skin complexion. Has nothing to do with one being hairy and the other one not. It has everything to deal with their spirit, their temperament, taking us all the way back to what? Genesis 3. The temperament, the spirit. That's why you have what is called the spirit of Esau, the spirit of Jacob. Esau being the end of the world, Jacob being the beginning, right? So manner, let's see what Iraq means. Let's see what manner means. It says here, well-trodden path, manner, path, traveler. So in other words, order, manner, demeanor. There's a certain demeanor that comes with the Edomites. There's act of hostility between the 2 brothers whose descendants are cousins. All right, I'm just fast forwarding here. When we see La'am, right, we see here it says in Israeli Leom, right, but nevertheless, to gather a community, nation, people. Okay, so 2 nations, 2 paths, 2 different what? Spirits. And family, if you really want to tell some of these who's who among our community, start looking at the spirit of them too. Look at their behavior. Look at how look at how they treat one another. Then that may give you an idea of who's who. Come on, family. So again, Adam or Adamah or Adamah Wanai or Adamni does not mean Caucasian. There's nowhere where that equates to being white. Okay. And I don't like to say it that way, but I have to say it that way to bring truth. So it says, and after that came his brother out, and his hand took on Esau's heel, Aquab, and his name was called Jacob, Aquab, right? Aquab healed. Put Yah to the prefix, Aquab, that's Jacob's ancient name. All right. So what is the spirit of Esau? What is the spirit of Jacob? Come on, family. It's just that simple. Well, the scripture tells us what their manner, their order is, right? Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field. Come on now, family. How can someone that has no melanin, no pigmentation, be out in the field hunting, being a skilled hunter? Now I've heard a number of people that say Esau the white man, but then at the same time they say that they say that the Israelis, they talk about the skin cancer. They say it's impossible for them to be from that territory because their skin can't handle it. They have to now cover up to try to minimize skin cancer because at one time they had the highest level of skin cancer than any nation in the world. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't have an argument one way and then change selectively. Esau would not have been a skilled hunter if he was albino, if he had no pigmentation in his skin. He wouldn't have been. In that territory, in that area of the world, Esau would not have been able to be out there as a skilled hunter in that desert, in that sun. So Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man in the tents. Right? He was a plain man dwelling in the tents. And when you see here in a nutshell, you'll see the word thawam or tham. And you also get the word tam, right? The Israeli pronunciation of it, right? So he was described as being a plain man, right? And here you see tam or tham means perfect, plain, undefiled, upright, right? This is where you get the word tamim in the Israeli. So this is dealing with the character. This is dealing with their spirit. So Uncle Tom, truly, this story is based off of Jacob and Esau. Many refer to Jacob as being the house Negro and Esau being the field Negro. Not getting into all of that, but let's fast forward, family. Let's fast forward. I don't even want to get into the Uncle Tom, the history of that. But guess what? Jacob stole his brother's identity. He was the first identity thief. Jacob stole his own brother's identity. He was the first identity thief in the scriptures. Jacob lied and deceived his father about Isaac. Right? We're dealing with the demeanors of the two. By the sword shalt thou live, and thou shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke off thy neck. And Esau hated Jacob. See, this is where we start getting into the act of hostility. That key word here, let me zoom it in. You see this word shatam. That word shatam transliterates to the word Satan. In the Israeli, it's pronounced Satan. But in the ancient Hebrew, it's shatam. You guys know what that word is? So Esau hated Jacob, shatam. Why is that important? Well, let's go to the definition of it. We see here, to lurk for, persecute, hate, transliterates to what? Satan. So we're dealing with the spirit of Esau because the spirit of Esau ties right into what? The serpent from the very beginning. And let's see what Christ says about this, because we're still tying everything back to the very beginning, because Christ also called these Edomites that he was dealing with in John chapter 8. He said, Hasatan is their father. Well, let's go to John 8. Let's see here. Starting at verse 36, if the Son therefore shall make you free, ye shall be free indeed. And here's their response. I know that ye are Abraham's seed, right? This is Christ saying to these Edomites, I know that ye are Abraham's seed, but ye seek to kill me, because my word hath no place in you. Who is Christ addressing? Well, let's go to verse 31. Then said Yahushua to those Jews or Edomites which believed on him, if ye continue in my word, then are ye my disciples indeed, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. They answered him, we be Abram's seed and were never in bondage to any man. That's a red flag. We know that Israel's history is perpetual bondage. So these group of people said that they were never in bondage to any man. They were Edomites. And when you start understanding the Maccabean period, you'll understand how they got into position. Starting with the king of Judah compromising. Before you know it, gave the Herodians an opportunity. So this is a red flag. We be Abraham's seed, and we were never in bondage to any man. So this is telling us that that's a key red flag with the Edomites. The Edomites were never in bondage. So according to the scripture, the Messiah is addressing Jews, right? That's what we were taught. But when you do the history, when you really study the period of the Maccabees, right? Was the Messiah actually addressing Israel, Edomites, or Judean Edomites? Right? You had Israelites, Edomites, but then you had Judean Edomites. Why did I say Judean Edomites? Again, Judah or Judea was a territory that was occupied by, of course, Israel, as far as Judah, but then they allowed the Edomites to dwell among them. So they allowed the Edomites to become citizens in the territory. So they became Judean Edomites. That would have been, Edomites would have still been their nationality or their ethnicity, but far as citizenship, they was part of the Judean territories. But anyway, right? When we look at Yahudah, we know that Yahudah is Israel. But then we also see of its territories, right? That's key. Now, let me fast forward. I didn't want to get into all the Jew stuff. Let me look here. Let's pull this in back to Esau. And I hated Esau, Shana, right? So now the Most High is saying he hated Esau. What is this? What does this mean? Let me fast forward. What is the meaning of hate in this text, Shana? Well, glad you guys asked. Adversary, right? Enemy, foe, hateful, right? So we see here, enemy, foe, hateful. So he's an enemy. Why did Yahweh refer to Esau as an enemy? Well, I'm going to show you here. Because Esau threatened to kill the promise. When he threatened to kill his brother, he threatened to kill the promised seed that would come through the loins of his brother. So by threatening to kill Jacob, Yaakov, he threatened to kill the promised seed. That is the special blessing, the blessing of the Messiah, the blessing of the royalty. He threatened to kill the promise. Again, he hated Esau, and the word hate there is shatan. But let's go to John 8, verse 43 and 44. Here's key. Why do ye understand my speech, even because ye cannot hear my word? Ye are of your father the devil, Shatan, or Satan. Christ called these Edomites. He said, your father is of who? The devil, because what? You are trying to what? Kill. It's clear as day. We're dealing with two manners of people. And again, even with the problem with Esau is the end of the world, explain that I already explained that. I got a full teaching on that. I'm not going to teach all of that tonight. It's really late. Not getting late. It's really late. Go back and look at my video, and moderators, if you want to take a look at it, the playlist, just look for Esau, the end of the world. Just look it up. It's right there, and I explain it in its proper context. So we're dealing with two manner of people. We're dealing with the spirit. It has nothing to do with skin complexion. We're dealing with the spirit of Esau, because Christ is looking at what? He identified that, hey, wait a minute. Your spirit, your demeanor, your mannerism is that of what? Your father, which is the devil, which is the serpent, which is Satan or Shatan. And we see that Jacob was threatened by his brother Esau, that Esau wanted to do what? Kill him. Right. And it says that he hated him. And the word that's there is Shatan, which transliterates to Satan, taking it all the way back to Genesis 3:15, act of hostility. That's why I basically, in a nutshell, I just took some highlights from this lesson, but this is a very detailed lesson. So it says here, your father, the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from what? The beginning. Who is the murderer? This is not dealing with Esau. This is taking it all the way back to Hasatan, back in the garden, back with the deception, back with Genesis 3:5. When Hasatan told Eve that she'll be like the father, she'll be as Elohim, Yahweh himself, Yahweh Elohim. But then the penalties came in Genesis 3:15. So he was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him, which speaketh a lie. He speaketh of his own, for he is a liar, and the what? Father of it. So right here, we just connected all the breadcrumbs. We proved that it's about the spirit. It's about the spirit, the demeanor, the temperament, the mannerism that's handed down. So family, we can't make it any plainer than this. If you guys want to run with that Esau is the white man, go for it. But we don't teach that over here, and I'm not going to allow that to be pushed over on this platform, because I don't subscribe to the teachings. The scriptures doesn't subscribe to those teachings. The sources that I pulled out does not subscribe to those teachings. All right. So again, in this text, when we pull it all together, we see that Esau, when we're dealing with the Edomites, right, we see that they were in the temple. They were among the Pharisees. They was among the Sanhedrin, right? Most of the Sanhedrin were Edomites. So the Messiah, he's addressing Edomites. And how did the descendants of Edomites infiltrate Judah? How did that happen? How did they infiltrate Judah? So again, Esau, he married the daughters of Canaan, or the Canaanites, the daughters of Heth, or the Hittites, the daughters of Ishmael, the daughters of the Hivites, and had intermarried with the Horites. But the key is, we see Canaanites, we see Ishmaelites. So that tells you that there has to be some melanated people there. Canaanites are melanated people. Ishmael, melanated people. All right. So Isaac and Rebekah was not happy about Esau's marriages. We see this in Genesis chapter 26, starting at verse 34. And it says here, and Esau was 40 years old, and he took to wife Judith, the daughter of Beri, the Hittite, and Bashemath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, which were a grief of mine unto Isaac and to Rebekah. So the descendants of Esau from these marriages became known as Edomites or Edom. And when we go to Genesis 36, now we start getting into who's who. Now, these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom. Esau took his wives of the daughters of Canaan, Adah, the daughter of Elon, the Hittite, or Adah, as we heard the Edomah or Idoma. The tribe said Adah is a popular name among their community, right? But we see Elon the Hittite. We see Aolibama, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon, the Hivite, Bashemath, Ishmael's daughter, right? So we have it here, family. Not all, and again, I'm going to say this again. I'm not saying that some of Israelites, I mean, not Israelites, but the Edomite seeds did not go into other communities. I'm not saying that, but I'm not going to, there's not a single passage that supports saying that Esau is Caucasian and that all of the Edomites were completely wiped away into those other nations. If you're going to say that his seeds is hidden all across the board, then what about those African tribes that we mentioned? All right. So you guys already see the Horites. You guys know this, cave dwellers. That's what they are, troglodytes, right? Cave dwellers, the Horites. Who are the Horites? And this gives you more information on it. Who dwelt in the limestone caves which abounded in Edom, the ancestors of Seir, who probably gave his name. This is just giving more information on it. They were disposed by the descendants of Esau, and as a people gradually became extinct. Not distinct, but extinct. Did they become extinct or absorbed? That's the question, right? Did they become extinct or were they absorbed? Right? We see here King Solomon. Look at who King Solomon married. King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites. So, man, he was just marrying right across the board. It said, of the nations concerning which Yahweh said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you. But Solomon broke that. Did Solomon have children with his Edomite wives? There's no scripture that says that, but who knows? Who knows? Solomon was with a lot of women, but according to scripture, there's nothing that says that he had children by way of them. I want to make that clear. So Esau and the Edomites dwelt in Mount Seir, which Yahweh gave to Esau, right? And you can see this in Genesis 36, verse 8. Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. And these are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites, in Mount Seir. So this land was also known as Idumea. And we see this, we can confirm this, Isaiah 34:6, right? The sword of Yahweh is filled with blood. It is made fat with fatness, and with the blood of lambs and goats, with the fat of the kidneys of rams. For Yahweh hath a sacrifice in Basra, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea. So we see Idumea here. So the land of Edom, Mount Seir, lies south of the Dead Sea, stretching south to its seaport at Elath, and included the ravine known as Petra. So the Edomites were driven from Petra westward by the Nabateans in 312 BC. Before the middle of the 2nd century BC, they were occupying not only southern Judah, but also Hebron and the country to its north as far as Beth Zur. And we can confirm this with the Maccabees, First Maccabees 4:29. And it says this. So they came into Idumea and or Idumea, or Idumea, how you want to pronounce it, and pitched their tents in Bethsura. And Judas met them with 10,000 men. So the Maccabean family had ruled Judea from 166 to 37 BC under Judas Maccabee, recaptured the city of Hebron from the Edomites in 164 BC. And then we confirm this with First Maccabees 5:3. So Judas fought against the children of Esau and Idumea at Arabatim because they besieged Gaal and he gave them a great overflow. Right. So this is giving you confirmation. So the Maccabean family, along with Judah, was able to make a distinction between the Edomites and themselves. Right. They knew who each other were. So during the time of John, Hyrcanus, 135 to 105 BC, the nephew of Judah were again faced with the hostility of the Idumeans, right? So we see here that Hyrcanus, however you want to pronounce it, or Hyrcanus, right? He is now, you see that he's a ruler. He's like the king of Judah at this time. He is the one that's instrumental of allowing the Edomites to live among them. So Hyrcanus confronted the Edomites, causing a decisive change in the relationship between the two factions. Hyrcanus, the high priest, right, made several critical decisions with the Edomites. Now, this is very odd, right? Because we see Hyrcanus, a high priest, but he's also the nephew of Judas, right? Not Judas Iscariot. So he was also what? Connected to Judas. So wait a minute, how can he be a high priest? That's a whole nother discussion. So Hyrcanus, the high priest, made several critical decisions with the Edomites. Josephus point that out. Hyrcanus took also Dora, Marissa, cities of Idumea, subdued all the Idumeans, and permitted them to stay in the country if they would circumcise their genitals and make use of the laws of the Israelites. I don't like to say Jews, but of the Israelites, right? Of the Judeans or Judah. And they were so desirous of living in the country of their forefathers that they submitted to the use of circumcision and of the rest of the Israelite way of living, at which time, therefore, this befell them that they were hereafter no other than Judeans. So the Edomites living among Judah, known as, were they known as Jews? No, they were known as Judeans. I want to make that clear. So the word Jew did not exist during that period. They would have been referred to Udeans, right? Udeans, however you want to pronounce it, right? So it didn't exist back then. All right. So when we look at Judeans, we see here a native or inhabitant of Judah, a member of the tribe of Judah. So you could be a native or inhabitant of Judea. That's one that made a Judean, or a blood descendant out of the tribe of Judah. So Judean would be synonymous to Israel, using the term Israeli, because you could be a Judean but not be aboriginal to the territory or bloodline descendants. So that means that you don't take on the inheritance of the bloodline Judah. That's not biblical. All right, let me just stop here, family. This is a lot of information. I'm not going through all of this. As you can see, this is a large presentation, and there is just a lot more to go. I'm very tired. As you can see, this is a large presentation, and we'll continue this next week. I just don't have the patience to go through all of this tonight. We've been going almost 3 hours strong. Apologies for the technical difficulties. All right. So again, family, I hope this helps you. And apologies for the technical difficulties. Let me just do something real quick. All right. There was another one I was going to pull up here. What's that group? There was another group I was trying to think of off the top of my head. All right. Let me see here. Yeah, because when you look at that, the Edo tribe, right? You'll see them, as far as the connection between them and the Yoruba. I was trying to pull some information up on there, the Edo tribe. And, there was a lot of conflict among the Yoruba dealing with them. And the Edo tribe, they are Edomites. Edo, EDO. That's another group that I meant to make mention to here. Let me see here. Well, it's the Edo, and the Edo may still be the same tribe. I'm not sure, but I know they also have a connection with the not saying that they're the same people, but they are connected with the Yoruba as far as had conflicts with them. So it may be the same tribe. I'm not sure. I was trying to look them up, but they call themselves the Edo. I think it's Edo. I was trying to research them real quick, but it is what it is. But family, I'm going to stop right here. I know this was a lot of information, and I know this could be a hard lesson to take with some of our brothers and sisters because of how we've been programmed with history, and I know that, sometimes things that seem to be too good to be true, oftentimes they are too good to be true. So we're going to stop right here. And again, I appreciate you guys for hanging out, pressing beyond the technical difficulties. And I'll edit the video and I'll put some, chapters here just to kind of make sure that there's, you can go back and get to certain areas of the video so you don't have to try to skim through it all. But with that being said, family, again, apologies for having to deal with the trolls that came in being very disrespectful, but it is what it is. I just don't have any patience, no tolerance for trolls and disrespect in the form that we saw. But with that being said, family, we're getting ready to, I'm going to call it a wrap, call it a night. In the words of Moses, actually the words of Yahweh given to Moses when they were coming out of Egypt, and the Israelites were afraid, they were fearful, they were ready to go back to Egypt. They had regrets. They feared for their life. Exodus chapter 14, verse 13 to 14, fear you not, stand still, see the salvation of Yahweh. These Egyptians that you see here today will not have power over you ever again. The Most High will fight for you, but here's the kicker. We have to hold our peace. We have to hold our peace. Can't go back, can't stay here. Keep moving forward. Shalom.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14, verse 13 Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was Abraham, born in the city of a black man, called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10.